This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. So we're learning Sefer Ezra, Parak Ches, Pasuk Chaf Gimel. Parak Ches, Pasuk Chaf Gimel.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about the return of Ezra. Finally, Ezra is returning. He's going back to be machazek the Torah learning in Eretz Yisrael. And we learned last week in Pasuk Chaf Gimel, he davened to God for this, from which the Gemara in Tainus on Chesam and Beis derives that when the tzibur needs two things, they should only daven for one of them. And then look at the pasuk says. What was Ezra davening for? He was davening for a safe return to Eretz Yisrael. Vanatsuma, and we fasted. Vanevaksha me'elekenu al zos, we asked out from our God for this. Vaye'aser lanu, and He was entreated by us. In other words, He listened to us. And the Mefarshim pick up on the fact that even... Right? Vaye'aser loy Hashem. Yeah. The Mefarshim pick up on the fact that even before they returned, it already says that God was entreated by their tefillah. How did they know that God was entreated by their tefillah if He didn't even see evidence of a safe return yet? So the Rabbi points out that it could be that the Navi told them that in fact God had accepted their tefillah. In other words, they somehow got a signal that God had listened to their tefillah. The Ibn Ezra says that they were notified this through a dream, but the Malbim suggests very interesting. Rabbi Chanina ben Dois in the Gemara Brachos, he knew when his tefillahs were being answered, when his tefillahs were not being answered. So they asked Rabbi Chanina, how did you know if this guy is going to live, this guy's not going to live? So Rabbi Chanina ben Dois responded, if my tefillah was fluent in my mouth, that I took as a sign that Hashem was answering my tefillah. If I stumbled, if I was not saying the tefillah fluently, that was not a good omen. So perhaps here also the Malbim says they were able to determine based on the fluency of their tefillah that it had been accepted. Okay, Pasuk Chav Dalet. Va'avdila misarei hakohanim. Says Ezra, I separated from the ministers of the kohanim, Shnei Masar, 12. Who were they? L'Sheirevia, Chashavia, V'imam me'achem asar. Sheirevia and Achaya, and another 10 of their brothers. Here's the problem. I'm sure you remember from last week, and I know you're just itching to ask this question, that in Pasuk Yud Ches and Pasuk Yud Tes, Sheirevia and Chashavia were Leviim. They were not Kohanim. They were one of yours. So what happened? In this Pasuk, it calls them Kohanim. And in Pasuk Yud Ches, they call them Leviim.
So the Leviim, until they journey, if they're apprentices, while they're Leviim and they're learning how to do the avodah, so maybe they're don't have the full status of Kohen. But once they become journeymen and they can do the avodah, they transfer from being a Levi Kohen to being a Kohen.
A Levi Kohen.
All Kohanim are from Shevet Levi.
Yeah.
But they can't all do the avodah till they pass and get certified.
Mm-hmm. Listen to what the Rabbi says. Rabbi says that it means under the auspices of the Kohanim. Okay? These Leviim were controlled by other Kohanim. That's what it means. Misarei HaKohanim, from the ministers of the Kohanim, 12. And who were the 12? They were Leviim under them. Okay.
So why are Sheirevia and Chashavia singled out, mentioned?
They were perhaps chief Leviim. They were more well known, maybe.
They were chashuv.
Right. Okay. So now, what are they transferring? They're bringing back from Bavel the Kalim of the Beis Hamikdash, Kalim that had been moved back to Bavel during the Churban, and now they're bringing it back to Eretz Yisrael. So va'eshke, and that's why Ezra was davening for safe return. You can imagine the pirating and the marauders that would be very interesting in this camp coming back. Va'eshke la'lahem, I weighed out to them es hakesef, the silver, v'es hazav, the gold, v'es hakelim, trumas beis Elokeinu, the truma of the house of God. What does that mean, the truma of the house of God? What was contributed to the house of God, Hahirimu HaMelech, that the king contributed v'yoyatz of his advisors and ministers v'chol Yisrael hanimtzam, and all the Jews who were to be found. And Ezra waited out. Now he waited out. Pasuk Chavav va'eshkala al yadam, and I weighed out to them. The Metzudas translates Pasuk Chavav is describing Pasuk Chavhei. And Chavhei, Ezra weighed them, and Chavav says, who did he weigh it to? To them. However, the Malbim learns that they were weighed twice. That first Ezra weighed it, and then they weighed it, probably to ensure complete accuracy, right? Esa kesef v'eshkal al yadam kesef, silver kikarim sheish meos, 650 talents of silver, uklei chesef mea l'chikarim, and 100 talents of silver articles, zahav mea kikar, and 100 talents of gold, uchefayre zahav esrim, and bowls of gold 20. What were these bowls used for? They were mizrakim. They were bowls to catch the blood of karbanos. La'adar chonim olef. They valued 1,000 darkonim.
Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt. There's a black van behind my car. Black van.
They valued 1,000 darkonim and uchlei shnayim. Excuse me, uchlei nechoshes mutzav, and copper kalim, gold, toiva shnayim, copper kalim, as goodly as gold too. Now, right, they obviously weren't gold if they were copper. This is a type of copper, maybe a glistening copper. What?
The doors, right? The doors, the sunlight hit it, was like gold.
Right. It had a certain gold quality to it. Shnayim, chamudos kazahav, as desirable as gold. Now he brings down over here that the Gemara in Erchin says that these two vessels, these two precious copper vessels, were instruments that were used in the first Beis HaMikdash. And there were two different pairs of kalim. One was symbols, very, very delicate symbols that produced, take a look at Rashi, they were very fine gold. And the other one was a mortar to grind the ketores. Now we know that hakoil is yafeh lebesamim, right? A certain type of noise, a certain type of sound, pitch, is good for incense. Even though you say, what does sound have to do with smell? Because I play music, that smell. But there's an idea that shahakol yafeh lebesamim. That's why the Bnei Yissaschar writes, Mordechai min haTorah minayin. Mardachya. That's why Mordechai is besamim. So what does Mordechai have to produce? Sound. Vayitzak tza'aka gedoylu umara. Why? Shahakol yafeh lebesamim. For Mordechai, for Mardachya, sound is very good. Okay. Now listen carefully. This is a very, very interesting pasuk. As innocuous as it seems, this is a very interesting pasuk. Why? Because the word nechoshes is a feminine word. Nechoshes. It ends with a taf. It's feminine. And it's described by two adjectives. Yeah? It's described by the word mutzav. Mutzav means a gold quality, but that's Lashon Zachar. And toiva is Lashon Nekeva. So it's like, it's an androgynous over here. You have mutzav is Zachar, and toiva is Nekeva. So Vas Keitan, what's going on over here? Says the Rabbi. Mutzav toiva. Mutzav ratzalaymar kitseva hazav. Mutzav is like a golden kli. The Torah nechoshes, that describes nechoshes. Pam b'lashon zachar, pam b'lashon nekeva. Says the Rabbi, how is such a thing possible? Could you use one adjective in nekeva, one adjective as zachar? Yeah, like it says, ruach gedayla v'chazak. Pasuk of Malachim. Ruach gedayla, gedayla is what? Lashon nekeva, and chazak is zachar. However, the Malbim says, this is not what's going on over here. We're not mixing the genders over here. What are we doing? We keep the genders separate, even in the Pasuk. Right? That's why it says, listen carefully. Bachurim Vigam Besulais. Zekenim Im Na'arim. The Zekenim could be with the Na'arim. But the Bachurim cannot be Im Besulais. It's Bachurim Vigam Besulais. Right? You can't mix the two. The Zekenim could be with Im Na'arim. But the Bachurim is Vigam. So it says the Malbim, what's going on over here? The two adjectives are describing two different nouns. The noun is not Nechoshes. The noun is Kli Nechoshes. The word, now Kli is Zachar, Nechoshes is Nekeva. Mutzav is describing the Kli, Taiva is describing the Nechoshes. Okay? So I knew you would be very bothered by this, that's what I'm telling you. Okay. Let us proceed. Pasuk Chaf Ches. Va'omer aleim. I, Ezra, said to them.
I can ask you, Rabbi, it says a clay, right? Isn't that Rabin? Kalim shell would be clay. So how come it's in Yachid? Mutzav Kova is in Yachid. We want to start, dissecting how the adjective modifies the noun. Why is it in Yachid?
Why isn't that mutzavos?
Yeah, or tovos. Or nechoshes.
The end of the pasuk, that's chamudos, it says, right?
Yeah.
I hear. Good question.
Each one is precious.
Okay, I don't know. Pasuk Chavches Va'omer aleim. I said to these Leviim and Kohanim, Atem kodesh Lashem. You are holy unto God. V'hakelim kodesh. And the kelim are kodesh. And therefore I entrust you holy ones with these holy kelim. V'hakesef v'hazav nidava. And the silver and the gold are a offering. Lashem l'kev v'seichem to Hashem, God of your forefathers. Pasuk Chavtes. Shiktu. Now if you remember from Friday's Shiur, one of the ingredients of charoises are shkedim. Why shkedim? Shakad, God hastily. So Ezra is saying, Shiktu, be hastily, quickly, Bishimru, guard, Ad Tishkalu, till you were able to weigh Lefnei Sarei HaKohanim, V'Halavim, before the princes of the Kohanim and Leviim, the Sarei HaAvos L'Yisrael, and the heads of the ministers of Israel, Yerushalayim, Halishchois Beis Hashem, of the chambers of the house of God. In other words, don't slacken off until you seal the deal. What does it mean to seal the deal? Get it to the L'shachos in Yerushalayim. Okay. The Kiblu HaKohanim HaLeviim, the Kohanim and the Leviim accepted Mishkal HaKesef, the weights of silver, V'zav, HaKelim, L'havi Yerushalayim, L'beis Elokeinu. Says Ezra HaSefer, Vanissa, we traveled Minahar Ahava. Now remember, they went to Nar Ahava. How long did they spend there? When Ezra made a cheshbon, what's going on? Right? They were there for 3 days, and then Ezra contemplated the situation. So now they moved on from Nahar Ahava, B'shnei Masar L'chodesh, Harishain. On the 12th day of the first month, L'aleches Yerushalayim, to go to Jerusalem. V'yad Elokeinu hoisa aleinu, God's hand was over us to give us success. V'yatzilenu, and He saved us. Mikaf oyev v'orev, from any enemy and any ambusher al hadarach. V'hanova Yerushalayim, And we came to Yerushalayim, Vaneshav Sham, and we settled there, Yamim Shloisha, for 3 days. They settled there for 3 days. And what happened on the 4th day? Uvayom Aravi. On the 4th day, Nishkal HaKesef. We weighed the silver, V'hazav. Now wait a second.
What's
Why
the
they have
purpose
to
of waiting
wait so
for
many
3
days to weigh it?
Out of rest. After
After
15
a
days.
long trip. The reason Makdim and Lemitzvahs, why if you're there already, you haven't been there for so long, you have all of the accoutrements, why are you spending 3 days?
Well,
Long trip, it was a hard trip.
24 hours, so wait 1 day.
Out of rest.
3 days, Shloshim Agbola. I mean, this is not,
It doesn't say when he arrived. I mean, you say he arrived, you stayed there for 3 days, but when did he arrive? It take him 10 days to get there? No.
they have to organize
He
themselves.
left on the 12th day of Nisan, right? He left,
well, we learned last week
left
that
in the Hara Harbor where they were.
Yeah, wherever it was.
Okay.
So where is that? We don't know.
in Parak Ches Pasuk Tezvav, Ekbetzem Alanar, I gathered them and we camped there 3 days, and only then he started to Cheshbonais. From there, the Gemara in Eruvin derives that you're not allowed to daven when you return from a trip until you're settled 3 days, because otherwise your mind is still confused from having arrived.
Really?
And we pointed out we don't pass them like that, because we don't have kavanah anyway when we daven, right? But this could be the same exact thing. He's not going to make cheshbonos within 3 days of arriving because his head is still in turmoil. But on the 4th day, he starts to weigh it out. Al Yad Meremos ben Uriah HaKohen, through the hands of Meremos, that was his name. Meremos was not Italian. He was a Jew. Ben Uriah HaKohen. V'imai Elazar ben Pinchas. And with him Elazar the son of Pinchas. V'imam Yoizavar ben Yeshua. V'noidaya ben Binoi Halavim. B'mispar, by number, meaning the precise number of kelim. B'mishkal, by weight. Lakoil, for everything. In other words, says Rashi,
Put it in writing.
the number and the weight, as they received it, that's what it weighed. I mean, they were all accounted for. They were all delivered by number and by weight.
So nothing got lost in transit.
No, right, nothing
You have
else.
to put an insurance claim.
Exactly.
For, damaged merchandise. Or
Right,
merchandise.
right. Vayikasev kol hamishkal ba'esahi. And they wrote down the precise number at that time. Haboy me'ashvi, those who returned from captivity, b'nei hagoyla, of the exile, hikrivu oilos elikei Yisrael, parim shnei masar al kol Yisrael, 12 bulls, elim tishim v'shisha, 96 rams, kevasim shivim v'shiva, 77 lambs, sfirei chatas.
But how do they mock for korbanos? The Beis Hamikdash wasn't operating yet.
Yeah, it was.
Sure, they were operating for
It was.
a year already.
Now, one thing I don't get
They
was,
didn't have the kalim. Didn't he bring back the kalim now?
are the Kalim Ma'akev? One thing I want to think about is,
Certain kalim.
it says they left Nahar Achva on what day? 12th day of Nisan.
Right. It doesn't say how long it took him to get to Yerushalayim.
Yes, it does.
What does it say?
They came to Shalayim
Yeah, when?
5th of a year.
3 days later, no?
No. So
No.
we came and we sat down for 3
We
days. It doesn't say
rested.
when we got.
Oh.
3.
And on the 4th day, so we don't know how long it took them.
No.
What did they do for Pesach that year?
That's here, the first day of year. Not possible. No.
Well, let's finish this pasuk. 12 he-goats of chatas. Hakol oila Hashem. All of these were karbanos oila. Now, the question is, what in the world were these karbanos? Where do these numbers come from? Does it say anywhere in the Torah to bring these types of karbanos? Says Rashi, Hayras Shahaisa. This was a one-time special dispensation, but Mitzvah Hashem will see more next week from the Gemara in Haryos. B'li neder, possibly. Okay.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.